right into the biggest headlines.
Robert Mueller is, in fact, investigating Donald Trump for obstruction of justice.
So, happy birthday, Mr. President.
Because they're not our sources.
Is it the president's birthday today?
So
It is the president's
It is?
On
How
that
did I
first
not
one,
know that?
on this third line, are we
There's a
going
lot of other important shit.
I guess.
Yeah, no, Jacques. I'm Jacques Slaveline and all that. Do that up top.
I know.
Yeah.
But when he says a man opened fire, we're going.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I turned right away, right after.
Yeah, I didn't know if I wasn't looking on here, so I don't know.
Oh,
if
got
you
it,
went
okay.
to it. That's all I was asking.
Cool. Do we?
Do your line again, Jacques.
Are we taking from the top?
Yeah, let's take it from the top. Let's do it. 3, 2, welcome to The Cycle. I am Jacques Slade.
I'm Aaliyah Jasmine. It's a full day, so let's dive right into the biggest headlines in case you missed it.
Washington Post sources just confirmed that Robert Mueller is, in fact, investigating Donald Trump for obstruction of justice.
So, happy birthday, Mr. President.
A man opened fire on the Republican recreational baseball team practice, injuring 4, including House Majority Whip Steve. What is House Majority Whip?
So that means that
It's not
the
biased.
majority party, in this case it's the Republican,
You're really tight,
has a
too.
whip, and he's responsible for, like, when they have a vote, he's got to get all the Republicans on the same page, like, hey, we have to all vote yes on this bill, or we all have to vote
He's
no on this bill.
basically like the second ranking
He's
Republican.
the third highest ranking Republican, right? Because you have the...
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
no, maybe I guess...
I just didn't know what whip meant. I was like, House Majority
that
Whip.
means that he's supposed to whip them into...
Whip him into shit. Oh, got it. Okay.
It's
What do you think
the
about that?
always the most exciting character in Scandal is the whip.
Got it. Okay, including House Majority Whip Steve,
From recreational to the congressional.
and it's Scalise.
Scalise, yeah. I think so, right?
Scalise.
And the whip is also who on House of Cards, the president always gets the whip to do all like the bad stuff,
Yeah.
and like so that the president it's not on the like it can't be traced back
So
to the
who's the
president.
whip in Scandal?
The whip in Scandal was Cyrus,
Oh, okay.
right?
So
Oh
he's
no, it was that lady. I didn't watch the last season, but before that was that lady who then was like head to head with
Talking about Ellen's wife.
no.
You know who Ellen's wife is?
Yeah, Portia de Rossi.
All right, where we at, guys?
Yeah.
We
But-
Yeah,
are
Portia Rossi.
back at the top.
No, but I think Portia
Oh, I'm
Rossi
back
was
here.
the whip in the last season, but I didn't watch.
That's
the
really
last
dark.
season. But I think she was. But you know how she replaced that woman, the other blonde woman?
I don't remember. I gotta see a face.
Yeah.
Okay.
What did you change, Dan?
Oh, I just made it the congressional, the Republican.
Wait, do you like it like that? 'Cause that's dark.
That's where reform is at. Go to 2.8.
Now I really want to know who the whip is in Scandal. Thank you.
At the end, opened fire on the Republican congressional baseball team
Like
practice, injuring 4, including House Majority Whip Steve Scalise.
The gunman James T. Hodgkinson, died after a shootout with Capitol Police, while Scalise is in critical condition.
There's no word yet on how Hodgkinson's obtained his rifle, but some Facebook research indicate he'd been a vitriolic critic of Donald Trump. Had been a vitriolic critic of Donald Trump and the GOP.
Meanwhile, a UPS driver in San Francisco took 4 lives, including his own, at a UPS facility using, you guessed it, a gun.
Of course, as we learn more about these 2 shooters, their guns, and these horrible acts of violence, it's sure to reignite the gun debate. We're going to have more on that later in the show.
Okay, moving on. The death toll continues to rise in the high-rise apartment fire
I
that
think
claimed.
continues to
Oh,
climb.
that's London Fire's next.
Yeah, it's there's just the 3.
Yeah.
Baseball,
No, I got it. I just had a different order.
baseball, UPS, London.
There you go. Ready?
Yeah.
Moving on, the death toll continues to climb in the high-rise apartment fire that claimed at least 12 lives in London.
We don't know the cause, but residents had apparently raised a number of safety concerns to building management in recent years.
Usually we fill this portion of the show with a bunch of sarcastic jokes and snide comments, but it's been a tough day, so we're holding off on that until later on the show.
Our thoughts are certainly with the families affected by these tragedies in Alexandria, San Francisco, and London. And we will, of course, update you tomorrow with new information.
And that's in case you missed it. Now for some smaller stories that also deserve our attention. This is Below the Fold.
The Attorney General of Michigan charged 5 state officials with involuntary manslaughter for their part in the Flint water crisis.
This is because 12 residents died from, how do we say it? Legionnaire's disease, thought to be carried by the low-quality water in Flint.
Michigan's Health and Human Services head, Nick Lyon, is so far the highest-ranking official to face charges connected to the cover-up and these deaths. The residents of Flint, when asked for comment, simply said, "We still don't have clean water."
All right, next story. Protesters in Venezuela used gasoline bombs to set fire to the country's Supreme Court building.
This came after Monday's decision from the court that cleared the way for President Nicolas Maduro to rewrite the country's constitution.
It's just the latest violent clash between the government and citizens upset over the country's economic crisis.
Moving on, an Uber board member resigned after making a sexist remark at, and I'm making this up, I wish I was, at a staff meeting about sexual harassment.
This happened at the same meeting where CEO Travis Kalanick announced Kalanick announced he'd be taking an indefinite leave of absence.
Seriously, guys, how many more of these Uber stories do you need to hear before you just take a damn Lyft?
You know, I'm so lazy to download the app.
Oh.
Finally, with just one, I'm almost there. Finally, with just 1 week until the deadline, Bob Dylan finally gave the speech required for him to take home his Nobel Prize in Literature and the $900,000 prize that goes with it. Only one problem. He apparently plagiarized the speech.
Yeah, it appears that the man known as one of rock's greatest poets filled several parts of his speech with poorly paraphrased chunks from the SparkNotes pamphlet on Moby Dick.
Not the classic American novel, but the shortened version from the version you copy from the night before your essay is due.
Asked for comment on the situation, there's another in there after the comment on the.
SparkNotes used to be.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Before the internet was fast, I couldn't search that shit. Yeah.
Asked for comment on the situation. Mr. Dylan said, "It was the best of times. It was the worst of times."
And that's Below the Fold. Now it's time for a story that most of us was TLDR, or too long didn't read. Today we are focusing on the story from Politico titled "The Strange Civil Rights Views of Trump's Latest Court Nominees."
With so much going on in Washington, it's easy to miss something as mundane as confirmation hearings for court nominees, but hear us out. These are really important positions. 2 of the nominees are for circuit court judges, and the rulings that go back, sorry. A little more?
Yeah, I feel like it needs a pause. They're for circuit court judges.
Okay, right there. Hear us out. These are really important positions. 2 of the nominees are for circuit court judges. That's what I'm missing. I'm just jumping to the rulings that shot down Trump's. Now I'm missing them. The rulings that shot down Trump's travel ban. No, that's my fault. I was reading it differently. The rulings that shot down Trump's travel ban, those came from circuit courts, and circuit court judges get lifetime gigs. Judicial appointees are one of the most enduring ways a president can impose his agenda on the country.
Since these appointments are such a big deal, it's worth taking the time to get to know 3 of Trump's potential judges who had confirmation hearings today. They have some interesting views.
That's a good way to put it.
Right.
First, there's Kevin Newsom, a nominee for the 11th Circuit. He once wrote an article comparing the Roe v. Wade decision that legalized abortion to the 1857 Dred Scott ruling, which upheld slavery. He also wants to express regret over the fact that it's unconstitutional for states to execute juveniles.
Next up is John Bush, a nominee for the 6th Circuit. He also compared abortion to slavery, using similar reasoning as Newsom. He referred to the Rodney King beating as a, quote, police encounter. He discounts the discriminatory effects of voter ID, and he adds laws. Cool. Is he related to any of the Bushes?
No.
I don't believe so.
And
but
has
for a fact,
advocated for First Amendment protections being taken away from the press.
Tough job for us then. The third nominee is Damian Schiff. Schiff, yeah.
Schiff, yeah.
Damian Schiff, who's up for a spot on the Federal Court of Claims. Schiff has called Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy a judicial prostitute and has criticized past court decisions for striking down anti-sodomy laws. He also compared desegregation rulings and pro-diversity programs to, I'll let you guys fill in the blank here, together, Dred Scott.
Anti-sodomy laws, like not
Yeah.
having sex with your
Like,
sister?
in
Is
a
that the
lot,
same?
No, that's sodomy. Like in a lot of places, actually, until relatively recently, like sodomy has been illegal. Like having anal sex has been illegal. As in,
okay.
they're anti-gay laws. They're never enforced against, but there are ways they've been used.
Got it. Okay, so it's okay. For some reason I thought it had to do with incest, but these guys are this close to having jobs that will allow them to insert their backwards views on civil rights into the laws of this country. It's impossible to keep up with all the moves going on in DC right now, but we can't let stuff like this go unnoticed.
And that's TLDR.
Okay, moving on, let's circle back to today's shooting in Alexandria. Anytime something like this happens, it sparks a whole list of responses that unfold as if they were pre-programmed. You know the drill. We look for connections between the shooter and terrorism. Gun advocates start talking about liberty. We hold our breath waiting to find out if he acquired the gun legally, as if that matters.
Inevitably, this process involves a search for answers as to why it happened. The second the shooter is identified, we all head to their social media accounts to scan for signs of motivation.
In this case, it turned out that James Hodgkinson had a history of making anti-Trump statements online. So that's what we're telling ourselves today. It was just violent rhetoric in politics.
So, sure, when a congressman got shot in Alexandria today, it was about hatred of Trump.
But when
Wait, sorry, can we change that to politics? I changed it to politics just to.
Right here.
Yeah. Can we just change instead of about hatred of Trump, just make hate? It was about politics. So it fits with the word.
Got it. Okay.
it was about
Politics.
Okay. But when 5 people died in Orlando last week, it was about a disgruntled employee.
When 8 people died in Mississippi last month, it was about domestic violence. When 49 people died at the Pulse nightclub a year ago, it was about homophobia. When Dylan Roof killed 9 people in Charleston, it was about white supremacy.
When 14 people died in San Bernardino, it was about terrorism. When 9 people died at a college in Oregon, it was in part about the shooter's sexual frustration. When 6 people died in Isla Vista, California, it was about misogyny.
When 12 people died at the Washington Navy Yard, it was about mental health. Look, we could keep going and going, but the point is this. A shooter's motivation is about as irrelevant as what video game he plays or movies he watched. We can shift through the shooter's history as much as we want to find what any given shooter... Wait, what's...
As much as we...
Sift.
Oh, sift. Oh, okay, sorry. Shift, not shift, sift.
Those
Go back.
all work.
Go back.
Beautiful.
How long you want this up for? The whole time for the rest
I
of
can
the
keep it,
semester?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just going to tweak it slightly.
Got it.
Oops, sorry.
Yep. There's.
I think this would be good for the box.
Yeah, and then we could do it.
Yeah.
It'll be a little bit longer. That's fine.
It'll be cooler.
Yeah, I'm willing to put in the extra work to do it.
We can sift through the shooter's history as much as we want, desperately trying to find what any given shooting was really about.
But there's one thing that they all have in common. Guns. So we can either solve every single one of those problems,
Maybe change it to these and then point downwards. 'cause-
these,
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
these, okay. These problems, sorry, can you go up?
That was an old script.
So we can either, but there's one thing that these all have in common, right?
No.
No, they're not yet.
Not
we
yet.
Can, we can solve
We're just talking
every
about
one
the-
of these.
Oh, got it. Okay. But there's one thing they all have in common, guns. So we can either solve every single one of these problems, seems difficult, or what's the seems difficult?
Like,
To solve all of these
like,
problems.
All these problems
no, they
instead
solve
of
all of
just
these
guns.
problems.
Oh, so just like a break in thought, like
Yeah,
seems
or-
difficult. Or we can try to enact some common sense gun control.
Sorry that was so heavy, but we had to put it all out there. We'll end with something more fun. An example of the punishment fitting the crime. Last year, a man in Kansas got busted during a bank robbery. He really had no intention of ever leaving the bank with the money. In fact, once he was handed the cash, he sat down in the lobby and waited for the police to arrive.
Why did he do this? Well, he wanted to get away from his wife. He told her right before the robbery that he'd rather be in jail than stuck at home with her.
It feels like me and my co-host. Well, yesterday, he got his sentence. His punishment, 6 months of house arrest.
And that's today's cycle. Thanks for watching.
Like and follow us at The Cycle Live. And then you can just be like, what are you trying to say? And you can be.
I don't
Hey,
care.
Davis. What you think about staying wide?
No. Push
Should I go
back
back?
in on that photo.
You put the photo
And
in.
I'll put the photo back.
Whatever.
Okay.
I liked it. He's like, no. I was like, well, damn.
Jeff was like, I liked it, son of a bitch.
That was great. My one note is maybe like at the end of the gun thing when you're like, oh, we should do something light. Like, sort of feels like it could be an opportunity for banter.
Got it.
Should we do
Yeah.
something lighter? You know, finish
Yeah,
up with
yeah.
something funny?
Okay.
Change it.
Like you could say that and you'd be like, yeah, we definitely should. And then,
Definitely should.
And then you jump into that.
Got
Cool.
But that was
Sounds
dope. Copy is fine
¿Qué hora
on
es?
the social.
¿Qué hora es?
6